Hey up, it's Steve from that old Yorkshire Geek and happy Halloween. It's Halloween today, October the 31st, All Hallows Eve, the day before All Saints' Day, when the veil between the worlds is at its thinnest and spooks and stuff like that pass through, so they say, if you believe that stuff. Anyway, today I'm just going to do a quick story about Ghostwatch. If you remember that, it was a BBC one-off drama, but done in the style of a what do they call it? A live broadcast. But that was 30 years ago today, because it was on Halloween. So let's just have a look at that after this intro. Right, I'm back. I should have done a spooky intro for Halloween. I could have used my Friday night appointment with Fear intro, but that wouldn't have seemed right somehow. Right, so let's get this up. I'm reading an article about it. That's the easiest way to talk about it. But I do have Ghostwatch on DVD. I tried finding it, but I've put it somewhere safe. It's on the shelf somewhere, probably behind other things. I couldn't find it. But I remember it being on at the time. My son had just been born, and me and my wife and friends, we went out for Halloween. And my son's great auntie were babysitting for him. I always remember that. But I'd set the timer on the video recorder at home to record it, so I watched it when I got home. And I thought it was amazing then, and it's amazing now. It's a bit hokey in places, particularly Craig Charles. But anyway, right. Banned BBC show Ghostwatch left traumatised viewers in tears and unable to sleep for months. I don't understand some people. I don't. I mean, it's a TV program. What do they think they're going to see? You know, even if it was a live, real thing, if real things were happening, they'd turn it off, wouldn't they? They'd cut away. You know, real people were being hurt. They'd say, oh, we've had to leave that, and normal service will be resumed as soon as possible. They wouldn't carry on broadcasting it. Anyway, right, more than 30,000 frightened viewers complained about the terrifying show when it was first broadcast 30 years ago. 30 years ago. That means my son is 30 years old now. Hey dear, that makes me feel old, because I am an old Yorkshire geek. I'm going to say something, I forgot what it was. Oh yes, this is from the Manchester Evening News. The link's in the description if you want to go and read it. These are the stars of the show. Michael Parkinson, which is a famous British talk show host, famously from, I think it was from Barnsley, or Rotherham, somewhere like that, but I think it was Barnsley. So he had a bit of a Yorkshire accent, not quite as much as I've got. And there's Sarah Green and Mike Smith. I think they were married in real life. I don't know if they still are. But Sarah Green's super hot, and she was a kids' TV presenter. He did stuff like Crime Watch and shows like that. So they were all respected real-life television presenters, but they were acting in this show. Right, it's Halloween night, and the nation is about to be traumatised by one of the scariest shows ever broadcast on British TV. At 9:25 p.m. on Saturday, October 31st, 1992, Ghostwatch, a mockumentary. I won't call it a mockumentary. I don't like that phrase, mockumentary. I like the word faux documentary, which means, a fake documentary. But mockumentary makes it sound like a comedy, like Spinal Tap, But that was a rockumentary, wasn't it? Anyway, investigating reports of a poltergeist in the most haunted house in Britain was shown for the first time on the BBC. It was kind of inspired by the Enfield poltergeist. They even used some photos inspired by photos from the real Enfield poltergeist case. It was billed as a drama. It was at the beginning. There was they said done in the idiom of the live outside broadcast. That's what it said, in the idiom. But probably people don't know what idiom means. It was billed as a drama, but cleverly put together like it was a live broadcast BBC documentary. And what added to the apparent authenticity of the one-off show was that its four presenters, Michael Parkinson, Sarah Green, and her husband Mike Smith and Craig Charles, were all household names playing themselves. The live ghost investigation centred around two young girls, Kim and Suzanne Early, being haunted by a terrifying spook called Pipes, a name which still sends shivers down the spine, at their West London home. The ghoul was so called because the children heard noises in the house, and their mum said it was just the pipes. 30 years on, the memory still haunts some viewers. Writing on the Manchester Evening News Facebook page, our fan Nassim said, "Oh my God, I remember watching this when I was very little and all us kids screaming. Was it real? Back then it felt so real. I was scared to go upstairs to sleep after." It wasn't real. If you watch it, you can tell there's a lot of not very good acting. I mean, I'm not a good actor. I'm not even an actor, and I think I could do better sometimes than what we saw on that show that night. But it was still great. Hawk, I don't know how do you pronounce that? That's an amazing name, however you pronounce that. Hawk Siona, wow, said, "Worst thing I've ever watched. What made it worse was they said the poltergeist targeted teenage girls, which we were at the time." Karen Piers posted, "I remember watching this about the poltergeist called Pipes, and I was crying my eyes out. I was so scared. I was 10 years old. I also remember my dad shouting at me for getting so upset, saying, 'It's not bloody real, calm down.'" Christina Constantinou wrote, "Ag, I didn't sleep for months after watching this in 1992. That's fibbing. While Rachel Mason said, "Literally didn't sleep for 6 months." They did. And there's a clip from the show showing the ghost that appeared regularly. At regular intervals through the show, the ghost appeared in the background. Sometimes difficult to spot, sometimes obvious like this one. They didn't put a ring round it in the show. During the show, viewers were asked to ring in with their own ghost sightings on 081 811 8181, which used to be the phone number for Swap Shop. The standard number for BBC phone-ins at the time, used on shows including Crime Watch and Going Live, which came after Swap Shop. Swap Shop were 01 811 8055. Why do I remember that? I have no idea. I can't remember my own phone number from back then, but I can remember the Swap Shop number. Anyway, the idea was that when people called up, they were greeted with a message that told them the show was fiction. But the lines were deluged by callers, and with only 5 operators answering the phones, most people could only hear an engaged line, which only convinced them the show might be real. In today's digital world, of course, viewers could check within seconds whether it was fake. And there's a YouTube link saying, Ghostwatch all ghost pipes sightings. So it says there. So if you watch that, you'll see when the pipes pops up. It pops up in the background, behind people, sometimes reflections in windows, and all the quick sightings you see of him. It's supposed to be, a man who used to dress up in women's clothes, and he died in the house, and his cats ate him. So he had a scarred face from where the cats had been eating him. Anyway, but back then imaginations were left to run riot. Ghostwatchers writer Stephen Volk said, "You couldn't do what we did nowadays and get away with it," he told the Daily Record. Stephen Volk, he wrote a lot of ghost-related dramas. He wrote Pet Sematary 2, the one that starred the Terminator 2 kid. I forgot his name now. Him, anyway. That starred him. And he's written some other things on the BBC to do with ghosts. People would know in 30 seconds what was going on, really. Over the course of the 90-minute show, it was revealed Pipes was the disturbed spirit of a child molester called Raymond Tunstall, whose menacing figure was subtly dotted across various points in the show, including in the studio. Initially, we see him up in the rafters, we see him, and in the background as well. A spooky one is when they're playing a tape of, I think it's Suzanne Early, doing the voice of Pipes. And that's taken from the Enfield poltergeist case, where the girl in that case channeled the spirit of Bill. But they did that, and they showed the tape going round, and then in the background, Pipe's figure appeared from the darkness. It was dead spooky. I'm getting chills now, and it's only a TV show, so, you know. Initially, the presenters were sceptical, but slowly they began to suspect that it could be real. And there's Craig Charles. He's talking to a couple of actresses, obviously, at a playground where they were saying that a dead dog were found, and it was pregnant, and fetuses were scattered all about. Lovely stuff. Scratch marks appeared on the girls' faces. Strange noises could be heard and objects seen moving by themselves. Disturbing scenes in the children's bedroom were reminiscent of the infamous photos from the Enfield poltergeist, an alleged real event from the 1970s and a clear influence on Ghostwatch. By the end of the broadcast, a thoroughly creeped-out Green is seen being pulled into the mist-filled cupboard under the stairs by Pipes. A wind then howls through the studio, and the lights blow out as mayhem ensues, and its panicked staff flee. It was brilliant. It was great. I loved it. Smith can be heard asking if his wife's safety, after his wife's safety, and Parkinson, with only half his face showing on camera, it's the bottom half, not being chopped in half. I mean, it's just the camera. Everybody's fleed, but the camera's still on, and it begins to sing a nursery rhyme before being possessed by the voice of Pipes. It's round and round the garden, they start saying. Viewers duped by the hoax expressed their anger in their droves. And there's a from the Radio Times. About 30,000 complaints were made to the BBC, including allegedly Parkinson's mum and a woman whose labour it induced. A vicar phoned in to complain that even though he realised it wasn't real, he thought the BBC had raised demonic forces, Volk told the BBC in 2017. It was partly that it scared people, but the complaints were actually more that the BBC had made them feel like mugs. People felt the BBC was something they could trust, and the programme had destroyed that trust. People always moan. A 10-year ban was imposed on it being shown again, but it has never been back on TV in full since, and is now only available on DVD. And I've got it somewhere. I just wish I could find the bloody thing. I think it might be out on Blu-ray as well now. I think the British Film Institute have released it, and there's a picture of the DVD cover. More than 11 million people watched the show, but things took a tragic turn when it was blamed for the death of teenager Martin Denham. The 18-year-old who had learning difficulties took his own life after his parents said he was hypnotised and obsessed with Ghostwatch. The complaint, however, was not upheld by what is now Ofcom. That's the government regulatory body of broadcasting. Originally meant to be a 6-part drama series about a paranormal investigator, the show was condensed into one episode after the BBC were unconvinced it warranted such length. The reaction has been compared to supposed mass hysteria caused by Orson Welles' War of the Worlds radio broadcast 54 years earlier in 1938, where listeners were told that the aliens were invading the Earth. Was it Grover's Mill or Miller's Grove? Can't remember which one of them. In New Jersey, the public panic caused has since been played down, with the press at the time accused of exaggerating the impact of the event. Well, yes, they always do, don't they? But despite the fact that a writer's credit was shown at the start of Ghostwatch and it was listed as a drama in Radio Times, people were convinced by its reality. And there's Sarah Green. She's I'm getting something through from the studio. She's not a great actress, but she did quite well. The BBC were accused of, by the way, I was kind of disappointed to see her appearing on Going Live the following week, and they never even mentioned that she got pulled under the stairs and killed by a ghost. The BBC were accused of deliberately cultivating a sense of menace by broadcast regulators. The show's director, Leslie Manning, told The Guardian in 2020, "I definitely didn't set out to cause mass hysteria, but I wasn't trying to make it look like a conventional BBC movie either. I thought the fact that it was a drama was obvious. It was trailed as such by the continuity announcer, and it opened with a written by credit. In the 30 years since Ghostwatch was shown, its groundbreaking influence has only grown. Its use of videotape instead of the typical 16mm film to make it look more homemade, and the now familiar shaky camera style of filming has been copied in everything from TV's Most Haunted to cinema hits like the Blair Witch Project and the Paranormal Activity franchise. I don't think Blair Witch and Paranormal Activity were really inspired by Ghostwatch. There were, found footage films before Ghostwatch. And Most Haunted, copied in Most Haunted. Does that mean Most Haunted's not real? Creed, Caffer, etc. So I used to watch Most Haunted religiously, almost, and then it went off the rails. Anyway, and while the programme's controversial success at fooling so many people is unlikely to happen again in this ultra-connected world, its impact hangs around just like a ghost. Volk said, "It's tremendously gratifying to hear people were scared and yet excited by it. To have that effect on other people who then want to do the same is like passing the baton on to those who now want to go on and scare another generation of people." Oh, and that's it. So there we go. So I just thought I'd read that. But yeah, Ghostwatch 30-year anniversary today. It's excellent. I watch it quite regularly. I might watch it tonight, actually. Oh no, I can't. I've got guests coming. Well, whenever. I watch it later after they've buggered off. And it's really, really good. You should find it, look for it. And if you can't look for it, watch this watch this YouTube video with all the pipe sightings. But it is good. It is worth seeing. If you can get it on DVD or Blu-ray, give it a look. It's really, really good. It's really, really good. Right, so we'll leave it there. I just thought I'd share that. Ghostwatch. Happy birthday, Ghostwatch. Same age as my son. I feel old. So we'll leave it there. So happy Halloween. Don't have nightmares. And until next time, I'll see thee.